Atlanta
Yeah.
and beyond. We keep saying that, man, but there's people
Beyond.
watching from other parts of the world. So we got
Yeah.
to get out of that, even though we are local musicians,
Everybody's local somewhere.
as we have been ordained by certain people. You're local, which we are, but everybody, like you just said, everybody's local somewhere. Anyway,
Yep.
how y'all doing tonight?
Yes.
It's fine Tuesday evening. The weather is getting got a little chill in the air with the fall. The leaves are falling. All the leaves are brown. What song is that, man? California. It's California Dreaming, man. How California got? What's
Right.
that?
How that
Why
got in
is
your head?
California talking about fall? You know.
Right.
But it is true. The leaves are falling. This is my favorite part of the year, man. Is fall, and
Well, California got whatever weather you want, though, right? Like go up north,
mm,
it gets cool enough in Palmdale, California.
yeah, I guess I'm talking about Southern California.
Yeah. They
But
never claimed that it was Southern California, though.
right.
Yeah.
So, but man, we are happy you are hanging out with us tonight.
Yes. Mamas and
Local
papas.
musicians XP, as Chloe Burroughs so stated, that yes, that was a song from the Mamas and the Papas, California Dreamin'.
You know, I like that little subheading that says "Where real musicians talk."
Yeah, man. That's what we do, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man, a killing version of that, if we're talking about that song, is Bobby Womack's version, man,
Really?
of California. Oh my God. Man. If anybody has not listened to that or checked that out, go pull up Bobby Womack's version of California Dreaming. It is surreal, as he
Does he
always
do
is.
if you think you're lonely now?
Hey man. So you know the story behind that, right?
No, give it to me.
So the story behind that song, if you think you lonely now, wait until tonight. Bobby was in the office with his manager, and his manager was on the phone with his lady,
Okay.
and they were having a little, a little throwdown session, and he just said, "If you think you lonely now, wait until tonight." And Bobby said he looked up, he was sitting on the couch, and the rest is history, man.
Oh wow, nice.
That's
That's
the
a
story
nice one.
behind that song.
It's a
You
good
know,
one.
all those cats, it's like all the history of those songs always stem from, I mean, not always stem, I can't say that, but it's like a lot of it's real life
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like when Tom Gross was on, we were talking about Lattimore, and he was talking about
yeah.
some of Lattimore songs, and the lyrics is just like,
Right,
it's like what was happening to those cats in the moment,
right,
and that's the
right.
beauty of those soul songs, but yeah, we're glad you are with us, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. Thank you for chiming in. Please smash the like button, the subscribe button, share with your friends, tell all about us here at Local Musicians XP, where we're just chopping it up every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. I got my great friend and co-host Tyrone Jackson, who I feel like I just saw you 2 seconds ago, which I did.
Feels like, man.
We had a fantastic rehearsal. And I'm not just saying this because it's my show, but really great, inspiring, uplifting, almost levitating on some levels rehearsal today for our show that is coming up at
On
the
Sunday.
Balzer Theater on Sunday, this coming Sunday. And I just happen to have the flyer here.
Nice.
So this flyer, the QR code is on the flyer. It's circulating. It's on my Facebook page. You can also go to theatricaloutfit.org.
.org.
Yes. But several people have shared it. Tyrone, Ariane Tillman, who is the vocalist that's singing with me, Kelly McCarty, who's on bass, Ali Barr. I think it's on everybody's page. So if you want to buy advanced tickets to the show, you can zap that QR code. It'll take you right to the ticket office, man. Check that out.
The great thing is general admission. So as soon as you get a ticket, you can sit anywhere you would like.
That's right. It's first come, first serve.
First come, first serve.
That's right. So, but that is happening on Tuesday or Sunday at 7 p.m. Doors open what time, my man?
6:30, 6 something, 6.
Okay. Is it 6 or 6:30?
Maybe about 6:15. Let's say that.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. All right.
We start at 7, but I think they open about 6:15. So
yeah. So I'll be playing a playlist that I've curated for the beginning of the show of some cool sort of Afro jazz stuff and just a mix of different things that'll be playing over the loudspeakers. But we are certainly looking forward to the performance. Tyrone Jackson on keys.
You know
Ali
the best
Barr.
part of that?
I'm sorry?
You know the best part of that?
What's that?
That Tyrone Jackson just has to play keys. I don't have to worry about anything else.
Isn't that beautiful, man?
It is beautiful. I don't have to MD. I don't have to talk about the set list. None of that. All I got to do is show up to play, take care of my part, you know?
Well, but what makes to me, the best sidemen are guys who are leaders themselves because they know the stress that goes into having to do stuff yourself. So when they get an opportunity to play, especially play something that they really want to play but are still involved musically, you know what I'm saying? It's really, man, it's a release, it's a joy, and it's just, you could just concentrate on your playing and the music. You don't have to think about anything else, man. It makes such a difference, you know? Yeah, so we've got Ariane Tillman, great young vocalist, with us. We also have Ali Barr on trumpet and African percussion, and Kelly McCarty on bass. What really tripped us out is in the rehearsal today, you know, Ali and Tyrone and I have had musical. I go back to 1997 with 96, really, when he. Weren't you playing with the band? Were you playing with that band in 96 when you first got here?
Okay. Yes, 96, 97, somewhere around there.
So that's where we met. Ali and I met at Churchill Grounds, had to be around 90, 98, 99, something like that. The vocalist that's singing wasn't even born until 2001. That took us out, man.
Out right there.
I was like, whoa. But the beauty of that is literally between the three of us, Ali, Tyrone, and myself, there's 60 years between the three of us in terms of musical experience, I guess you would say. More than that, really. It's more than 60 years. And she was born in 2001.
But how do you pay for that? I mean, you can't pay for that though, right? I mean, you could try to pay for that 60 years of worth of knowledge on the stage, you know, that you can just get.
I mean, I hope they get the same amount of, you know, seriously. I mean, because it's really the only it's the only thing that is going to make you better is experience.
I remember in New Orleans, I was at Preservation Hall, right?
Yeah.
Listening to that band. And the guys, everybody in that band is like 80, 90 years old. You die in that band in Preservation Hall, Jazz Band.
Right.
And bro, this guy says, now we about to introduce a young whippersnapper in the group, Wendell Brunius. I said, Wendell Brunius is 60 years old.
he was the new cat, man.
Whippersnapper. I was like,
whoa. He had to be being sarcastic, but
no, compared to them, he was.
Oh, right, because you said they was like 80, 90. So yeah, you're right.
Years old, Preservation Hall band, man.
You're right. That's hilarious, man. We got some friends with us tonight. Yeah. Mark Podhorser says another Tuesday laundry and chop it up. Good evening, fellas. Shout out to Mark. Brian Falgoux says, hey, friends.
Brian.
We got our buddy John Beal, great pianist, producer, studio owner. John Beal, what's going on? John Beal says, "What's up, guys?" He also says, "Nuck if you buck."
He's got the Raiden hat on too, you know.
Yeah, man. That's
Whoa,
right.
look at this. We got Anthony Mancini in the house too.
The Hammer's here? What?
Yeah.
They call him the Hammer. What?
Where'd y'all get the Hammer from?
I don't know. He can type it in the chat, but that's what I heard. That's what they call it. They call him the Hammer. Mancini.
Okay.
Mancini is actually is in Jayville. This is, I think, the Jacksonville Jazz Festival t-shirt right here. I think that's where Mancini is.
Okay.
And one of our best friends, John Chalden, is in the chat tonight.
Groove Apostle.
Chilling with the look at this. Man, all the cats in the house. Back guitar. See this guitar. This is guitar. Get a guitar fight.
Right.
Mike Baccarella, great guitarist, actually lives around the corner from me. And Anthony Mancini are both guitar players.
I haven't seen Mike at the jam session in a while.
He was there last night. He was tearing up. I said, "Where you been, man? Where you been?" Yeah. So, but he had a good excuse, man. He's been doing a play. He's been doing a show.
Okay.
For the last 3 weeks. So he's been in the pit. I forget what show it is, Mike. Tell us what show it is, brother. And then of course my sister was already introduced here. So we want to thank you all for hanging out. We tonight Grease. There was an interesting. Did somebody else come in?
No, it was Mike that he was with Grease. That's the show he's with.
Oh, he says, "Oh yeah, Grease." It was a show Grease that Mike was in. So, not to rush into this topic because it's definitely I feel like it's a topic, man. It's another one of those things that nobody ever talks about.
No, nobody.
But it seems, man, I can remember so many instances of guys on the bandstand not getting along for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
And so we titled this show Conflict on Stage, dealing with conflicts that happen on stage, which happens a lot. And a lot of times it could be about like a tempo. It could be about somebody's playing too loud. It could be about somebody not playing the right chord changes. It could play the drummer's not playing the right beat. There's a million
over somebody's lick that's supposed to be for them, cutting off their
solo. Or what about taking a solo that somebody else is supposed to have? We've seen that one. We have seen that one. So there's a lot of different reasons why conflict can arise on stage. Most of the time, I really am of the of the saying that preparation meets opportunity. And I feel like when you're prepared, it's just like anything else, sports, business, you're sort of able to, you can kind of handle different things that may come at you,
Right.
So, but sometimes, man, the impossible happens, or that one situation where that just can't be controlled happens. So, a buddy of ours, good friend, great drummer, Brien Andrews, had a situation that happened this weekend where he literally got into a physical confrontation with another musician on stage, and he put this on his Instagram and also on his Facebook. That fake book. That's another reason why a lot of conflicts, people reading from fake books. But so he put it on his Facebook, he put it on his Instagram, and just talked about the situation. But we are fortunate enough, Brien is going to join us a little bit later on in the show, and he's just going to talk about the situation that happened. But I thought it would be a good idea to just sort of talk about some of our experiences where I've seen guys. Um, one of my stories is back in, gosh, this had to be early 2000s. I was playing up at one of the places that's no longer here in Atlanta called Cafe 290.
Mhm.
And I was playing with, or actually, I wasn't even on this gig. I was just there. So it was before I started actually playing this gig. But shortly after this, I'll tell you about that. Um, so I was just in the audience and I was up watching Ike Stubblefield, who's a Hammond B3 organ player that passed away some time ago. And the drummer at the time that was playing with them was Jimmy Jackson, who is a legend, just a legendary
Rest in
Atlanta
peace.
drummer. R.I.P. to both of those guys. And Jimmy also played with Jimmy Smith, the legendary organ player. But anyway, those two, man, it was on from note one. All I remember was sitting. I was sitting in the audience, and I could just see the two of them. I don't know what was going on, but they were mouthing back and forth at each other. Now
Right.
later on, I got a chance to play with Ike, so I can probably tell you what Jimmy was talking about, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
So anyway, so they were there, and all I heard was it sometimes a musician who knows they can get under your skin. It's just like anybody. It could be your brother, your sister, your mom, somebody that works at your job. Once they know where your weakness is or what they know gets under your skin, they're gonna just poke and poke and poke at that one little area until they know that they can get you riled up. So that's basically what was happening. And there was a dispute about where the tempo was in this particular song. And Jimmy wanted it faster, Ike wanted it slower. Jimmy wanted it faster, Ike wanted it slower. Next thing you know, MF for this, MF for that, blah 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 blah. You ain't this, you ain't that. Da, da, da. These are two guys in there. They had to be in their 60s at this point. So
Right.
so I feel like, man, I was talking to my friend John Chalden today, and we had came to one conclusion about certain things. Man, once you reach a certain age, man, there's only so much that you're gonna take from anybody. We always wonder why old people, or we used to call them old people, were always so mad and pissed off, and we're just like, but as you start to creep up and you start to kind of just like, oh, okay, I kind of get it, because you are tired of the nonsense. You've had enough. You've seen it all, and you're just done with it. So these two guys were just throwing blows. Next thing you know, the gig's over. I'm sitting there. Ike comes over. Is like, yeah, so the gig's yours if you want it, and just walks off. So he fires Jimmy that night. Jimmy, of course, never lets me live that down. So every time he sees me, yeah, man, young blood stole my gig. I'm like, Jimmy, you weren't getting along with Ike. You
Right.
guys were just about to kill each other. He's like, yeah, you're right, man, you right. But those are the things that it can just be over something as what seems as small as a tempo or whatever, but those things can become pretty real pretty quickly on stage, especially if somebody has not had a good day, or they don't really like each other in the first place. So
Right.
I so
Right.
I, what do you say to that?
Well, when I was thinking about what you said, the title of the show is conflict, and then we could also have resolution too, because that's interesting too. How there could be a resolution. That one unfortunately wasn't resolved because Jimmy was no longer in the group. But I remember a friend of mine was at shout out to Yin Yang Cafe, was like, hey man, they got a the Angry Jazz Trio playing tonight. I was like, the Angry Jazz Trio.
Who was that, Eric?
It was you real close. It was Jimmy Jackson on drums.
Oh, it was Jimmy again. Okay.
Ojeda Penn on piano.
Oh,
And
wow.
Tarif Martin playing bass. We walked in that bad boy, and somebody walked close to the stage, and they all stopped playing, bruh. And I was like, bruh, so many expletive came out of that. Man, spit the bat right on stage, man, like that. They went right back to playing, bruh. I was like, this right, the Angry Trio. That's what they need to call themselves, AT. But man, I was on a gig in New Orleans. I remember, and it was in the middle of like July, August. It was real hot and sticky, right?
Yeah.
I had this gig with this local vocalist in New Orleans named Samira Evans.
Okay.
Right. So she had me, this drummer named Alan Williams, and this bass player named Chris Severin. Chris Severin is a bit of a legend.
Right.
So, but he's already kind of volatile anyway, Chris Severin, right?
Right.
But we had a rehearsal. She told us, hey, this is in the French Quarter area. Parking is hard to get to. She said, it's a wedding. We got to be there before time set up to go, blah, 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 because, you know, the way the venue is set up, the wedding party enters through the front door and there's no other way to get in the setup. So you have to set up before. Otherwise, while the procession is going on, you might be walking through with instrument, right?
Right.
So Chris, I don't think he's normally late, whatever, but that was the stipulation. So we get there, man, and I remember she said you didn't have to bring a keyboard. So I was so happy, right? But the piano was so hard and squishy, man. I was like, oh man, well, I'm gonna just make do with it, right? There was no amplification on the piano, whatever. It was an upright piano.
Right.
So man, Chris Severin comes barreling in. This is before cell phones too.
Right.
So he barrels in, he's sweating, he's got all his equipment, and he's not really late, but the wedding hasn't started yet, but he wasn't there at the time he needed to be there.
Right.
Well, I'm looking at Chris. Chris is usually, you know, angry kind of cat. For the first time ever, Chris comes in and says, Samira, I'm so sorry. He's like, I was trying to get down here, blah, blah, blah. The parking was locked up, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, this is my first time hearing Chris like apologize kind of thing. Samira cuts him off. I don't want to hear it like that. And then Chris just right there flips a switch. He's like, what? He's like, I'm trying to tell you what was going on. I'm trying to apologize for me being not here on the time, but I'm here already, whatever. She said, you did not do blah, blah, blah. And Chris says, man, I'm on the road with Diane Reeves. I don't need to take this. Chris grabs his stuff and leaves, right?
Ooh.
She walks out. Well, the vocalist, she's kind of distraught. She looks at me and the drummer. And it's like, you guys play something. I got to recollect myself. And I'm like, oh, man. Now I'm playing this squishy piano. It's hot. I'm trying to figure out what to play for this wedding processional.
Right.
And I'm like, then the rest of the gig I got to play. And there's dance tunes. So, oh, man. I remember in the middle of that second set when they were dancing for the reception, bro, my left hand cramped up, bro. I was like, because of the humidity, and I was like, this is the worst gig ever, bro. Man. But it just boiled over. If they could have just looked at it, if Samira would just said, okay, we'll deal with this later. I'm glad you're here, whatever.
Right.
And if Chris would have said, I know I'm late, let me just eat this one, then we could have done the gig, whatever. But none of those sides budged. It was just like it was, and they never played together again, man. It was crazy.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of a funny comment here. Dan Coy, what's going on, Dan? How you doing, man? Says Jimmy was a lead drummer.
Yeah, I could attest to that.
No question. No question. He had to be in charge. Oh,
look who you got in right here.
Uh-oh. Look at this. Look at this. Look who's in the chat. We got the Shaw Box Shaw. Craig Shaw. Master bass player. What's going on? He says, uh-oh, I'm having flashbacks of the Angry Trio. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Craig, because you were the young dude that was indoctrinated in with all of those cats
Yes, yes.
at some point. So
Yeah.
I'm quite sure he's got some stories. But yeah, I mean, I've seen things that not that come to. Well, I had I mean, the only almost physical thing that happened with me was I was rehearsing with my our late great friend Eddie Wright. Eddie and I, but again, this is more kind of a when you work so closely together with someone
Right, right.
for so long, it just there's going to be those moments. But we were and actually Joel Powell was on base. He probably doesn't even remember this, but uh we were rehearsing. We were at Churchill Grounds. We were doing like a little sound check rehearsal or something like that, and he was just micromanaging everything as our good friend would be known to do from time to time, right? And I
Right.
had just had enough, man, and to the point to where it was like, no, don't play the ride there, play the hi-hat. No, don't play the hi-hat to play the right. It was like,
Right. Okay.
and it was just like it was just ridiculous, man. So I kind of like I smashed the cymbal. And I was like, man, F you, man, blah, 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 blah. I'm sick of it. This is stupid. And it's like, you want to go outside? You want to go outside? I was like, let's go outside, man. Let's go outside. So, man, so we both put our stuff down, man. We walking out there, bro. And we walk outside, man, and we just kind of standing there, man. He's like, it's like, man, I'm sorry, man. It's been a bad, long day, man. I'm trying to, just whatever. But
Wait, y'all went outside?
we went outside, man. We didn't take it that far. We did take it that far, but nothing in front of an audience that I can remember.
Right.
Like, other than I've seen like people like especially with vocalists, or the vocalists get mad at somebody, or somebody's not doing something right, but never to the point of like physicality, man.
Yeah.
It's but the be getting upset, I think, is a natural thing, depending on if you're, let's say, if you're you've MD'd a lot of gigs.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that's going to set you off more than anything is what?
Well, I think that if you're disrespectful, like so there was one particular gig I had. You were on a gig, and a certain trumpet player was on the gig, and I sent out the music ahead of time. I sent out charts for the music. I even told him, I was like, hey, when you listen to the record, as is with any kind of recording session, you go in with a plan, but you might cut out 2 measures. So I said, look, in the original chart, these 4 measures in there, but when we got into the studio, I cut the 2 out. I haven't
Right.
changed the chart yet, so just scratch that out.
Right.
So this person gets in there, they start playing a song and messing up on the song. I was like, that's okay. Hey, cut out the 2 measures. Then this person says, man, the chart is horribly wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nah, it's not wrong, because I wrote the song. But I said, regardless if it's wrong or not, play this. I played it for him. And he's like, I just make do. I mean, somebody needs to redo this chart. And I'm like, okay, that's your second time saying this, bro. Don't let me just, I'm about to snap in a second.
Right.
And so it's clear that the cat didn't practice it. So, I mean, the biggest deal breaker for me is like owning up to what you did.
Right. Right.
I've done it. I've missed things, whatever. I'm like, yo, man, I am so sorry. I'm going to shed my tail off, or I didn't get around to shedding this. I'm sorry, man. If you got to
Right.
dock me for it, dock me for it. I'll deal
Right.
with that. But
Right.
own up to it. And so I was like, man, I'm about to fire that cat. In all actuality, I should have fired that cat on that gig. You know what I'm saying? But it's that's it for me. The other thing is I got into an altercation one time with a promoter slash
Mm,
manager kind of guy, right?
mhm,
And they wanted to get 3 times as much as any one band member in the group. You were on that gig too.
mm.
It was opening for somebody. We were playing with this violinist.
Oh,
This
yeah.
person is no longer alive either. You know,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
this person tried to say in just it's like they said, "Hey, I want my finder's fee of it was like $900." I said, you
Right.
can't make 3 times as much as
Man,
any band member." You know what I'm saying? I mean,
man.
well,
Yeah,
20% is a manager thing, right? How
right.
you gonna go mark up to 300%? That doesn't work. So I said, "Yeah, I'm giving you something. I'm not giving you that." He's like, "You know what? I thought he was playing actually."
Right.
So I was smiling, and he says, "You know what? Why not just take my knife and cut in your neck the smile that you have on your face?" I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "That's what I said, brother, you must be joking." He's like, "Yeah." And my dad was in town too. I was like, it was on it was on and popping. You know, my dad had some special effects in that little white
All
truck
you
that
gotta all you gotta do is make that call.
my dad was he was in town. My dad was like, "Tyrone, let's go down there and meet him." I
Let's
said,
go
"Dad,
down
I
there.
really
Let's
I
go
wanna
down
meet him,
there.
man." "Hey,
Man.
man." I said, "Hey, my man, Imma give you my address right now. I want you to come meet me in my front lawn."
Right.
Before that, I had gotten there, Chris.
Right.
I had gone there, and I was like, "This dude set me off, bruh."
Yeah.
And this if he woulda showed up on my front lawn, bruh, it would have been on and popping.
Right. Right. What
I was
you
like,
know, what you gonna look like beating up an old man, you know what I
"That's
mean?
the thing." So you know exactly who it
I'm gonna
is.
let this other
What
old
I look
man beat you
oh,
up and
man.
you know.
Right, right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Guys, I mean, yeah, and and we're probably there's so many stories that you hear of guys back in the day of and I'm sure everybody, anybody can get under your skin. You can, especially if you've been working with somebody for a while and something
Especially if you
pisses
have
it
a
off.
relationship with somebody, that's always the hardest one because
Right.
when that happens, the music community is a small community. You're gonna see that person again.
Yeah.
Although somebody said I did them something, and I'm still waiting to see this cat. I haven't seen this cat in a while. And you have seen this
Yeah.
cat before I have, but I
I've
can't
seen it a
wait.
couple times. I've seen it a couple
I
times.
have not run I have not run into this cat. As small of a community as it is, I have not. And I'm usually a nice guy. I usually don't have a lot of situations with anybody.
Yeah.
But in this
Well,
case, I don't know what I did. I would love to get an answer, and they don't wanna tell me what I did. I can't even apologize for whatever it is because I don't know what it is.
right. Right. It's I think because you know again, we have sort of a misconception as to a lot of times what we do is mostly it's a job.
Right.
You're the percentage of things that you truly enjoy doing. The minute it becomes a business, the minute it becomes how you pay your bills, the that whole sort of enjoyment factor kind of goes out the window because it's like you're now this is your job. So it's a workplace like anybody else's workplace. If you're working in a corporate office, if you're working in a hospital, if you're working with the same people all the time, and even though we're doing certain, we might be playing gigs with different people, but just like you said, the community is kind of small. So it's like a lot of times you are working with the same 15, 20 people a lot. You have a
Especially
lot of history with
the
those people.
conflict can happen a lot, especially if like any kind of field where what you do is dependent on what somebody else's does for the totality of the project, right? So
Right.
if you work in an environment where, you know, the final product is a combination of what that person does, what I do, what another person does, and that person is not doing their part, it affects the whole package. Well, the same thing happens in music. You know, if I'm not playing the correct keyboard part and I'm not even taking it seriously, whatever, and somebody calls me out in the band, it's like, yo, you got to play the right keyboard part, right?
Mhm.
And I don't adhere to it, that's a problem. I mean, that's affecting the
Mhm.
totality of the piece.
Right.
It's affecting the presentation, you know.
Right.
You know how you have a gig and a cat shows up in tennis shorts and an undershirt. And you're like, yo, what are you doing? They're
Mhm.
like, I'm just coming to the gig. You're like, man, you can't show up to my gig like that. Or if you play something, I'm like, yo, you keep missing these hits, bruh.
Right. Yeah.
You're
Yep.
like,
Yep.
what's the big deal? That's when you can get set off. Like, what's the big deal? Dude, it's my show. You
Right.
know, this is what
Right.
I want right here.
Right. Yeah. Lack of respect.
Yeah. How many
You
times have
know.
a cat played on your gig and you be like, man, play that ish, man. I don't need that.
Right. Well, then you don't need to be here. You know what I
Right.
mean? Don't think though. I mean,
Right.
it's
Right.
it's that simple. So we got a comment here. Our friend John Chalden says it's a miracle more physical confrontations isn't the norm. I totally agree with that. That's what we were talking about um earlier, is that we're surprised that more stuff doesn't pop off between guys. But he says emotions are heightened and ego is rampant on stage. I agree, totally agree with that. Couple that with condensation and impatience for some masters in quotations, and it can get out of hand quickly. Especially, man, if you're if you're playing what we, any kind of elitist, which is what we talk about jazz music, it gets super ego driven.
Oh
It
yeah.
gets super ego driven. And man, I've seen, I mean, a friend of mine was in he was playing at a master class, and he was playing drums at this master class, and the bass player was giving the master class, and the bass player was just all over this cat for, you know just silly, like instead of playing traditional grip, he was playing match grip.
That's a source of
And
contention right there.
he was saying to him, match grip 0 0, calling him a 0, like, dude, if I'm lying, I'm dying.
Yeah.
You know, just little things like this is in front of people, man.
Nah, chief.
And it's just like, well, I guess Brian Blade and Eric Harlan are zeros because they play match
Right.
grip. Ari Honig plays it. Like, you can go down the list, bruh. Like,
Right.
but that's one of those stigma, man. It's just, and there's a million of them. But if you don't play like this, and there's some truth to certain things, but not when it comes to, the road can lead, the same road can lead to different, what's the saying? You can find a different road that
Def
leads to the same place.
Same destination, right.
You
Although
know?
Charlton, don't mess with that metronome marking with with Charlton, bro. Charles like, hey, this is 84 beats per minute. We're like, these cats was going 86. I was like, yeah, John. Yes. I'm like, we
Uh-oh.
got a click track, John.
Uh-oh.
He's like,
Uh-oh.
these jokers making me seem like I was the one messed up last time. He said, but I distinctly remember it was 84. Now they brought it up to 86. I was like, okay. Yeah, that boy's a stickler with that metronome, bro. Don't mess with his
Hey,
metronome.
man. That's like Steely Dan, Donald Fagen. uh, Peter Erskine moved the metronome one beat faster. Both of them, Walter, them cats was like, something don't feel right. He was like, he had to come clean. Oh man, yeah, man, I moved the metronome, man, one beat, man. I thought it felt a little bit better. They were like, don't ever do that again.
Right, that reminds me. I was on a gig with Justin Barnes, right? He called me for this gig. And the singer was on the gig and she wanted to do straight no chaser in F sharp. I looked at him like F sharp. So Justin looks at me like, she doesn't know the difference. Just do everybody do it in F, right? So straight no chaser goes ba-da ba-da-da, ba-da ba-da-da-da. So we were at F. She went, she couldn't hit the first note, right? And Justin looks at me like, uh-oh. She was
She
right,
did.
right?
She was right.
She said,
Yeah.
was that F sharp? And Justin was like, yeah, like that. She's like, my voice must be getting
Hilarious, man. Hilarious.
like, oh man.
What about this comment? Wasn't Miles Davis temperamental?
Here's the thing. So Miles Davis, they said he was cool, but he was anything but cool. He was like volatile, right? Anything could set him off, right?
Right.
And he'll kick people off the stage, which they shouldn't be on the stage anyway. And what adds to it is those things, like he's turning his back on the audience when he said he was really just trying to hear the band more, would would add to his lore and mythology and his legendary status, right? But he was from East St. Louis, a boxing person. He was very volatile.
I mean,
So
think
yeah,
about a lot of those guys in that day kind of had to be because it was survival of the fittest, right?
yeah,
For a lot of them and man, and you know how some guys are anyway, dude. They will take kindness for weakness. You've seen it a million times.
right.
I've seen it a million times. You certain people, it's like, man, I can't actually just treat this guy like just be cool. It's like I have to come down, otherwise he's not gonna, but the solution to that is you don't use people who need to who need to be treated like that, right? I mean,
Right,
I've seen some
right.
situations that have been just so toxic. I'm like, why are you using this guy, or why are you using? And it's just like, well, man, he gives me he because he plays the music how I like it. I'm like, yeah, but he's taking years off your life.
But
You can't
don't you
find
find there's
somebody
certain
that
people that like they do things and they seemingly are more respected than.
say that again. I'm sorry, I missed
Don't
what
you
you're
think
saying.
there's some people that they are more respected when they are pitching fits and doing different things than just like being even keel? Like sometimes people it's like, oh, you can't have this out of place because da 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 da, and Prince is this or whatever. It's almost like that is a serviceable thing for a musician or an artist or an actor or whatever to be just a little bit
Like
drama
it
filled.
kind of adds to
Yeah.
their folklore a little bit.
Yeah, it does. Like, oh,
Hmm.
this person only wants green M&Ms. You better do this.
Hmm.
I remember we had a group that came through Kennesaw, and it was a derivative group of Snarky Puppy. This cat wanted, it was in the
Why?
wintertime,
Why?
he
Okay, go
wanted
ahead. I'm
10
sorry.
mints Girl Scout cookies and some Pabst Blue Ribbon something, whatever, in the dressing room. I told the cat, I was like, hey, I can solve this for you right now. We can't have no alcoholic beverages on a college campus, right? As far as Girl Scout cookies in the wintertime, bro, we're not doing that.
Well, that's what where they get that stuff from is, first of all, it's a lot of it's rumor as far as what some of these legendary groups like the Stones or Zeppelin or the Who or these
Right.
rock bands that and what they basically would do.
To check to see.
Some of them would do these outrageous. They would just and all it was just to be silly. It wasn't like
The original one was just to see if you were actually reading the writer.
right or the exactly or
Right.
that right exactly. But it wasn't like. But man, I can't stand when you know how I feel about derivative people anyway, about
Right.
derivative stuff anyway. But yeah, that's trying to follow. That's just stupid, man. That's ridiculous. But yeah, I think Miles, just to kind of wrap. I think man, but he had some hard cats in his. I mean, when you think about when you have a lot of alphas in your band, that's another. You kind of got to be careful about that because you can't.
Did he have alphas or did he create those alphas?
Well, I mean, that's another way of putting it. But when you get to a point to where you've got, especially once he got sort of out of the bebop thing, he started dealing with more of the electric thing. I mean, think about who he had in his band. Now, some of these guys were not the names that they were going to become,
Right.
Chick Corea, Joe Zawinul, John
Kirby,
McLaughlin,
Tony, yeah.
Tony, Jack, Jack DeJohnette, who was the bass player on that? Dave Holland,
Right.
John Schofield. I mean, all of these guys, their names, they went on to be names, but some of those guys weren't necessarily names. But coming from somebody like it's like you sort of have to, I don't want to exert your muscle, but you kind of have to lay the law down sometimes where, um, you know, myself as a band leader, it's not my personality, and it's not how I feel like I'm going to get the best out of the people that I chose to play. But I subscribe to a different school.
Right.
I subscribe to, if people who follow sports remember the coach Tony Dungy. So I subscribe to how Tony Dungy would coach rather
Right.
than how Nick Saban or whatever,
Right.
um,
But
or whoever those guys that are just laying the hammer all the time. I'm just like,
yeah.
dude,
I mean, and it happens in sports too. Like everybody wants LeBron to be like Michael Jordan, but that's a different style of person. And so I know for a music standpoint, you got people that are like really harsh kind of people, whatever. But at the same time, sometimes that yields good results for certain types of people, sometimes it doesn't.
right,
For me, I don't need to be yelled at. Now I can take a yelling at if I did something
right.
wrong. But don't come yelling at me if I didn't do anything wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Boy, that just brought up somebody that we have both worked with, somebody that I recommended you actually for the gig,
Okay.
a vocalist.
Uh-oh.
You went out of town, the master class.
OMG.
Yeah. So
OMG.
should I tell my story? I'll tell it. I don't care. Tell it. Tell the truth. Tell the
Damn it.
truth. Tell it. So I asked, I mean,
Oh,
in
that
the
was a
jazz
hardcore
community,
one.
a prestigious vocalist to be a part of um an event that I was producing, right?
And it was
For
easy work.
four, three vocal, four vocal. Was it four?
Three.
Three,
15 minutes apiece.
three vocalists. Let's even say 20. Let's just call it 20. Let's say three songs.
It was 3 songs, 15
Three
minutes.
songs. And it was really great. And I don't even want to say an opportunity. It was just a cool thing to be seen in this venue with the people that were going to be there, and the band was fantastic.
And it was an opportunity too, all the way
I mean,
around.
it was an opportunity. You
Of
can
course
look
it
at that.
was.
Yes. Okay.
Come on. Come
Let's
on.
call it that. All right.
Right.
So especially because they were like, oh, I never get a chance to perform in Atlanta.
I
Right.
would say this, it's one of those opportunities that you would do for free. You would do it for free
Yeah.
if you got called for this situation.
Right. So you know, uh, I actually said, look, here's what the pay is. The pay was, I mean, by our standards, was pretty good,
For
and she
15
was getting
minutes.
more than the other people. I made sure that happened.
Right.
Three songs, and so
And the group
oh,
knew your songs. The group
huh?
the group knew your
Group
songs. It's not like you
New
didn't
Year's
need that
song.
you didn't need a rehearsal.
Oh, I would love to do that. Oh my god, yeah. Blah 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 blah. So things cool. Uh, I get a phone call. We need to talk. It's like, Okay. Don't you ever call me for something like that pays this low. And don't you ever call me blah 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 blah. Well, you said you weren't doing a lot of stuff around here. This is a good opportunity, I don't work for this. I don't do this. Okay. But I'm gonna do it this time. But don't ever ask me to do this, and that was it for me, man.
Right.
I don't think I've actually uttered a word to this person since then. And I passed her off, and somebody else I know got the same treatment. Because it's just like we were talking earlier, man. If you don't want to do the just don't do it.
Right. But if you're going to do it, do it.
So, got some questions. Brian asks, "Can you talk about the dynamics at the jams?" Oh my God, you're gonna make us do this, right? No, I'm just kidding.
And hope we're
Talks
not
about the
talking
dynamics of the
piano
jam
versus
session.
forte. Yeah, go ahead.
In that situation where you have players more trained like you two playing with folks that are not as seasoned. Great question, man.
First of all, Brian, we're nice guys. But sometimes we get fed up, but we are nice guys.
So let's just
Back in
break this
our
down. I'm
day,
gonna leave this up because this is a really this is a
yeah,
really
back
great
in our day
question.
was different though, right, Chris? But you can answer
It
but
was,
back
I
well,
mean,
listen.
it was different, but you go first, man. I wanna
All right,
think
can
about
you talk about the dynamics at the jam sessions? In that situation where you have players more trained like you two playing with folks that are not as seasoned. Okay, so Brian, this is a situation. Usually the jam session takes on the personality of the leader of the jam session. So in let's say Napoleon's jam session, neither me or Chris is the leader in that situation. However, we have leadership roles being part of the rhythm section because it is our job to support and play the songs that sometimes novices come up and be a part of, right? With that being said, that makes us gatekeepers of the music, right? And stalwarts in the music. So one of the biggest problems that can arise or stem at a jam session about a dynamic is if the person doesn't respect that authority that we have in the band. Okay, so as a gatekeeper, if somebody who's sitting in on Chris's drums and Chris is not on the bandstand, and maybe there's no the regular bass player from the house band is not there, then I'm the alpha in the band, right? I'm helping to make the thing go by smoothly. If the drummer does not pay attention to me in that situation, especially being a piano player where I have to start off tunes with the
right,
vocalist or set up
right.
endings and stuff like
So
that, because
right.
this is an impromptu situation. So we're going off of language and what tends to happen. So when we get to the end of this tune or a song is slowing down, guess who kind of controls that? That would be me, right? Or if somebody's setting up a tune, that would be the drummer to set up the rhythm of the tune. I don't jump over that authority. But if a person is in the band is not paying attention and I'm trying to get their attention, usually they would be like, oh, okay. But if they don't pay attention and say they got this, I'm like, yo, hey, bruh, man. And I'll tell him, Chris knows, I'll pull him on the side. I'll talk him right there. Hey, man, you got to look up. You got to pay attention. And usually they say, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, man. You're right. Or I'm like, hey man, don't go by those real book changes. I mean, the real pro changes. That's not right. Here's the changes that's supposed to happen there. Now,
Right,
if they don't listen to me, that's when I can get really, really mad, right?
right,
Because,
right.
like you said in your question, when you have players that's more trained, you expect that a person is supposed to recognize that. But if you turn your head and you're not looking, or you're one of those too cool for school people where you come up to the jam session and you dressed in a tuxedo and you got your wine glass and your cigar and you thinking you all cool and stuff like that, you gonna get the business, bruh. You gonna get the business.
So an interesting thing happened last night. So and this was a compliment to uh Drew, who comes out, sits in. He's kind of a Sinatra style. He wants to do the Sinatra style
Right.
vocals. And he's trying to learn. He's there every week. He asks a lot of questions. He's trying to put his own gigs together, blah, blah, blah. So last night, there was a situation where he counted off a song, and I started it exactly where he was counting it off, and then so we started playing the song, and he says something about it's rushing, or it's too fast, or something like that, right?
Mhm.
So he counts it where he puts the count. It's right where my symbol is. So I'm like, that's right where where you counted it off. So he just kind of had this look on his face, and then instead of, so I could have at that point, what could I have done? I could have been, Mother ever, you the one counted. I mean, it could have
Right,
been there,
right,
because it's
right,
like, are you
right,
questioning where my time is? Like,
right.
for real? So, but I just I let it go, because I had to kind of think about, okay, this cat he might not know what he's talking about. So as I assessed the situation, what happened was the bass player was rushing ridiculously at the same
Mhm.
time that we were playing, which caused him to think, oh, it's going faster, because that's what he's hearing, because he's pulling the song along. Doesn't matter whether he's not paying attention to where the ride symbol is, or where the time is.
Mhm.
So I motioned. We were playing. I motioned over, and that's what I said. I said, man, I said it was a bass player that was rushing. I said, that's what made you think that the song was going too fast. So he kind of was like, he said, okay, but I could tell he still didn't get what I was saying. So after the song, or after the night, I pulled him. I said, look, man, I said, when you count a song off, I said, sometimes you can't just, sometimes you're not going to be able to just count it off and the band starts and then it's exactly where it is. I said, you might have to go a little bit longer to let everybody lock in to where the time is. And and this light bulb he's like, oh, wow. I didn't even think about that. And I said, yeah, I said, because sometimes, I said, we don't all play together all the time. I said, so sometimes it's going to take different guys longer to adjust to where the middle of the beat is. And so just hold your temp, just hold where the tempo is, so that everybody can kind of get adjusted to that. He was like, Chris, he said, thank you so much for that. He was like, man, that's something I would have never even thought to do, you
But what if
know?
he would have said to you, "Man, mind your own business, man. I got this."
Okay. Well, I said, you got it, bro. And then he'll never get any kind of advice from me. I mean, I don't care. You know what I mean? It's
Right,
like,
right,
I'm not
right.
there. It's like, dude, this is your moment, not mine. I'm making a living doing this.
Right, right, right,
This is what you are praying to do,
right.
you know? And good luck,
Right, right,
with with what you're doing, good luck, man,
right, right,
But, and I don't mean that maliciously, but I'm like, good luck, because
right, right, right,
there's a million guys doing exactly the same thing that you doing, man.
right.
And, so, but that's where I think some things really pay off, is when people actually they they take your advice. They accept the fact that, hey, okay, this guy knows a shit ton more than I do. I better
And
take
that's
advantage of this opportunity,
but Brian, this is what's supposed to happen at a jam session. You're
Right,
supposed to disseminate knowledge,
right,
right? Because it truly is the classroom, this jam session. This idea of a jam session is passing along information. I don't know every tune, but like if I'm playing with Neil Starkey, for example, that dude knows so many songs, right? So if somebody calls a tune, and I'm happy they call a tune I don't know, because everybody usually calls Summertime or all these other little songs, whatever. So I'm glad for somebody to call a song. But I have to be able to trust somebody in the band. And because Neil is older and more seasoned than I am, I'll look at Neil and like, hey man, is it something I could pick up? And he's like, I'll help you through it. But what if I just like didn't say anything to Neil? I was like, man, I can handle this, man, and just play whatever. I'm not learning in this environment where a jam session is supposed to teach you and disseminate information. That's how you're supposed to learn information. You know, when you get out of the police academy, they put you with a veteran cop. You may know what's in the book, but when you get with a veteran detective, then that person shows you what really goes on in the streets and all this kind of stuff. They don't put you with another rookie cop. So think about the dynamics of the jam session is an environment where you're supposed to learn and you're supposed to grow. You're supposed to have these opportunities where you learn from people who are older than you and have been doing this for a long time, because we all have been part of that lineage of a jam session to teach us.
Right. Um, it seemed like there was another.
As Mark had, have you had?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. What did yeah. So Mark says, have you ever had intra-band squabbles that were exacerbated by drug and alcohol abuse? Alcohol, I would, yeah, I've dealt with.
yeah. Some of
Um,
these are functional though with drugs and alcohol. They can
yeah,
function.
no, but I mean, I've dealt with
Oh
the
yeah.
drunk cats that are drunk, trying to finish out a set, or just being on the. It's like,
Did too.
that can be rough. That can be rough. Um,
Do you feel like most of the conflicts in band is over the time, the tempo?
I think it could be, man.
I I
It
think the
could,
bass and drums is such a marriage that usually, if those two people don't get along, like you have to get drums and bass. That's your
yeah,
first calls anyway. That's
right.
got to be locked. How do people interpret things? You know,
Yeah, I mean, and that can be a slippery slope.
it can be.
It can be a slippery slope because
I mean, you guys got to agree more than anybody in the band what to play in certain beats in certain places. Like y'all
right.
have to agree that tempo.
Somebody, yeah. And at the end of the day, somebody has to adhere to the other one.
Right.
It just, and a lot of times, man,
And what's your
it,
philosophy too, right? What's your
yeah,
philosophy
but
of what
but
rhythm
it's like,
is, or who occupies the strength part of the carrying the rhythm in the group?
but do you, I mean, dude, at the end of the day, man, you just want the song to sound good. You just want the song to sound good. You want the music to sound good. But just as, John brought up earlier, the ego is, and we've all been there, man. I've been, where I've, you know, wrongly flexed on something. You just, it's something that happens. But there are people that notoriously do that. That's where the problem with certain guys is that some guys, they always think they're freaking right, man. You
Yeah.
know, they're
Well,
always right. And that's tough. That can be tough to deal with, because it's like, how do you make a home out of working with somebody like that?
well, you start putting in your Rolodex is such an old word. You start putting in your file of what people share the same philosophy of you musically.
Right.
And so
Absolutely.
for me as a keyboard player, one of the pet peeves for me is a bass player that don't play the root notes. Now, I like for you to be free with your interpretation of
Right.
harmony,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
dude, at the end of the day, you are a bass player. You got to play bass, and if you're playing these high notes during the thing, that doesn't work for me. And there's other people who love certain bass players that play that kind of Scott LaFaro type of kind of thing where they can play melodically too. That's
Right.
not what type of player I am. I'm an
Right.
interactionist. Listen, I'm not a person where you have to accompany me. I don't think I've ever on one of my shows have set up in the middle of the bandstand, because I don't want to look like I'm the leader because I'm in the middle. It's not functional for me, right?
Right.
Because I don't want everybody just to support Tyrone, support Tyrone. I'm an interaction, so I want everybody to have some feedback. And I'm a stickler for things that I want, But that's the philosophy of who I am as a musician. And when I don't get there's a bass player I don't call, and a really good bass player, they will never play my changes on a gig. And if anybody's out there who's not a musician, let me explain that to you. There are songs that we call standards, right? That we play
Right.
that we don't have to practice, everybody knows.
Right.
But some of these standards have different ways of playing it, would have it. It's a democratic process when you get on stage and start playing. You play something, you acquiesce to a groove, you acquiesce to a bass note, you acquiesce to a chord change. This happens all the time. And you navigate that. Sometimes I'll be dominant and choose what I want to choose. And other times I'll be like, okay, I'm going to submit to what the bass player is playing. But guess what? I want my voice to be recognized too. So every time I play with this bass player, they will never play the changes I like to play. One example, My Romance. My Romance, some people go from the 1 to the 4, and I like to go from the 1 to the 2 like Bill Evans does. This bass player I play with went to the 4 every time. And I played the 2 like, "Hey, bruh, I like this." They're like, "Man, they didn't say forget you, but it's almost like they said forget you,
Well, that's what
right?"
they're saying, though. That is what they're saying.
Right. And so the next song, same thing. So I'm like, you know what? I am going to, every time we get to this section, I'm going to play this chord. Didn't even phase him. Didn't
Wow.
phase him at all. So I was like, well, I can't call you.
Wow.
I can't call you because I thrive off the interaction. And if it's not a democratic process, then I don't want you, and that's fine. You could be who you are, but I can't call you for my gigs. And if I call that person for a gig, it's going to be a great bass player. Don't get me wrong. If I call the person for the gig, I'm already have my mind set up that they're not going to play my changes. I just got to play theirs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that happens quite a bit.
Unless I'm the MD. When I'm the MD for a particular show, then this cat has acquiesced to what I asked for. But that's because I was the music director for the show. So
Interesting. That's
yeah.
interesting. That's interesting. I think that the that I guess that I can think of situations where um I played a certain beat.
Mm-hmm.
They're almost doing the opposite.
Right.
But I chalk some of that up to they're not listening because, man, some people, we talk about this all the time. They go on autopilot when they play because the situations that they're not in situations where, either they maybe feel like a part of the unit, or they're not, you know, looking for that. It's just like they're just on a jet, they're just punching a clock. They're punching a clock, and therefore there's no need to really pay attention. You're just there to do a job and go
But
home.
and then also to that, I can give you an example of when we had a rehearsal and the vocalist wanted his hand percussion thing. You'd lay down this beautiful, simple kind of hand percussion thing that occupied enough space for all we had to do was just play whole notes, right?
Right.
And so this cat started playing a lot of stuff, and I was
Right.
waiting, and I
Right.
said, "Yo, that's kind of busy."
Right.
And so I usurped my authority in that situation and be like, "Hey, bro, let's tone it down." Then they
It
didn't
wasn't your
play any.
authority. You were really just making
Right,
you're it was a kind of a suggestion. It was like, man,
right.
kind of
Don't you
listen to
think this
what's
is a little
going
busy?
on.
And then they stopped playing.
Right.
That almost set me off, bro. Almost set me
If
off.
you got issues with that guy, you got issues with
Too.
that guy anyway,
And he must
man.
have saw it. I said, "Well, not that much." And then they adjusted. And I was like, "Okay,
So, all right. Well, it's been a great conversation. The whole
yeah,
reason that we started talking about this subject was we mentioned earlier our great friend, great drummer had a situation arise this weekend
yeah,
where it went to a whole nother level, right? And he's through social media has talked about, the whole situation, and was very forthcoming about just, you know, the
Shout out to
embarrassment.
that too, because that doesn't happen often at all.
It doesn't happen, but just like John said, you're surprised it doesn't happen more,
And I think
because
because we don't talk about it though.
yeah. But anyway, we're gonna actually, our friend is with us, man. We're gonna bring to the stage our brother Brien Andrews. What's up, man?
What's up,
What's
brothers? How y'all
up,
doing?
bro?
Hey.
You got Tyrone on here? Oh
Yes,
my
sir.
God.
Long
So this
time
is
no
our
play with, bro.
yeah, man. This is our weekly show. I mean, we've been meaning to hook up and talk, and we just haven't had the time to
Yeah.
kind of do that. But
Okay.
yeah, this is our weekly, podcast. We stream every Tuesday, and then we have, other episodes of stuff that we do as well. But we try to, bring on, a lot of the local cats, man, and feature them and just talk about different things within the music community, man. So when I saw your post, it immediately, I was like, man, I've seen it so close to going where it went with you, but it just, it never did. But then I thought about it in my own mind, like, man, there was some guys that it could have easily have escalated to the point to where
Yeah.
it went with you, man. So first of all, before we even get to that, man, we want to just, so Brien is a fantastic drummer, man. He's a first call cat in the community. Has been playing
Producer,
in
MD.
yeah, MD. He's got his own company. He's definitely one of the mainstays here in Atlanta, and also one of the good overall dudes, man, that you'll
Thank you.
ever meet. And I always joke, because I'm like, man, I be trying to talk to Brien, I can't get no words out of him, man. He don't tell you. He just is, but that's a beautiful. He just, his personality, man. It's
Man,
like
when I'm on a gig with Brad, I start talking to man. He's like, man, I'm checking my royalties right now. Like, okay, all right.
So,
hey Chris, you got to take me out to eat, Chris. I talk real good when I eat.
oh,
Is that a Waffle House in the background?
oh, that's okay. All right, but you don't have a list of where we can't go. Cheesecake, all these lists, man. Catch that now, man.
I ain't bougie, as long as it's good.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna take you up on that, bro. I'm gonna take you out to lunch, man, so we can have a conversation, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But man, so just to kind of, I'm just gonna give you the stage and kind of talk about what happened, and get, I know you've probably to exhaustion. I know you've had a lot of people reach out to you, and like I said, I know you've already discussed your side of the story on your social media, man. But just tell us what happened, and just some of the details, man, behind what the situation was.
Well, I think it was something, man, that had been brewing for a while, and I think Tyrone, I caught the tail end of what he was saying about when you are correcting someone, and
Okay.
and we've had issues where we're often correcting the volume, often correcting
that's another one, is the volume, dude.
the busyness, and it's like you can be an aggressive player but know when to be aggressive, because when you're playing in a band setting, or you're supporting an artist, a singer, we all have our roles and our place, and so you can't always overplay. And so that's been an ongoing thing. And then there was other things that kind of led up to Saturday night. And so Saturday night, it was so weird because everything was good.
Right.
What's up, man? You good? What's up, man? Good to see you, man. We ain't seen each other in a while. We ain't played together in a while. But those same things start coming up again. So myself and the keyboard player saying, hey, bro, you too loud. Everybody know Cat is only this big.
It's
so
it's very small spot, man.
So
right.
He already has a 410 cabinet.
Ooh.
which is really too big for that place. But hey, if that's what you have, that's what you have. So you have to be mindful that you have more power than what's needed in that space.
Right.
And so that was one of the things me and the keyboard player kept saying, "Hey, bro, come down. He'll come down." Next thing you know, he's back up, and then it's like extra stuff just going on. And then the artist is like, one moment just drums. Well, he's so into what he's doing, he's missing that the artist even said just drums.
Right.
So he's still playing on top of me just grooving.
Right.
And so it was just like one thing after another. And then the last thing, I guess, that the icing on the cake was an intro to Can We Talk? And everybody knows whoever's played that song gets one shot can do. Can we talk? You in.
Right.
And so not only did he miss the cue, but the keyboard player missed it too. Everybody was good. It was no big deal. We kind of laughed it off, but he wanted to have this continuous dialogue about who was right, who was wrong.
Right.
And I'm playing the groove. The artist is like, just keep it together, giving us time to figure out, and so we couldn't get to a common place so that we can start over. So the artist ended up saying, okay, in the mic, he's like, okay, y'all, it was a 2 count. We missed it, but y'all give me a second. Let me have a band meeting right quick.
Oh, wow.
So now he has to turn around to us and say, I'm going to give y'all a long count so that everybody will come in on time.
Oh,
this is like the perfect storm, bro.
Yes. And so he gives the long, I'm talking about the church count, like 1, 2, 1, 2. It was the long. Right. And so we come in, and even with that, he still has something to say. See, that's what I was talking about. That's how you need to count. That's how you. I said, no. We were segueing from one song into another. You don't do long counts when you segue. And so when I sensed that our energy was changing, has shifted, I got quiet.
Right.
And I said, okay, we got about 30, 35 minutes left in this set. Let me just act like we don't have a bass player the rest of the set.
Right.
And I just focused on the artist and what I was supposed to be doing. And we were cool until we in this go-go beat. And he just felt the need, just jamming. And then he turns towards me and just starts making these. And I'm just like, now I've been ignoring you intentionally.
Right.
And all this is going through my mind, like, okay, Brien, just ignore it. And I was good.
Right.
I said, hey, bro, please, I'm playing. Get out of my face. Again. And I'm like, Cats is packed.
Right.
Energy is high. So it's like nobody really recognizes what's going on, but he and I. Even the keyboard player was like, bro, I missed all of that. I said, because he turned his back to you and was directed towards me.
Right.
And it's a small place, so you can't really, you can't see. Right.
And so after that second time, and then that's when he proceeded to, cuss, like I said in the video. He's like, F you. But it wasn't like just F you. It was like, F you.
Right.
And I was like, well, F you back, And then the second time he was like, no, F you. And all the syllables and everything. And at that point, something just went through me. I stood up. I was like, who the hell are you talking to? He was like, I'm talking to you. And it just did like that. It just, at that point, nobody was thinking, he's coming towards me. I'm coming towards him. I take the cymbal stand and push it towards him. And next thing you know, I go from the drums to the kitchen because somebody didn't pick me up. And people are grabbing him. It was horrible, man. I had never experienced that. I think the last fight I had was in high school or something like that. It was just, and we didn't get into a fight. They kept us separated, but I was just like, man, this is horrible. All because, in my opinion, if he just would have left me alone, because I left him alone.
Right.
And just left it like that. And if he had an issue with me, we could have talked that through at the end of the show.
Right.
Has it been resolved yet, or
no, it hasn't. There has been, like Chris said, I'm not exhausted, man. It has given me the opportunity to talk to people about it, and I've even given people backstories from previous gigs that we've done together, and to help give people perspective, because they was like, man, y'all can't be falling out just because of that. And I was like, well, no, it's not. It's other backstories
It was leading up to that, right?
Leading up to that. And so he and I have not talked, but there have been conversations with people that's trying to help mediate
Right.
us. But the problem is, like I've been telling the couple people I've been talking to, going back and forth, he's already he's displaying a thing of this narcissism attitude. And so I've been telling them, you can't negotiate or reason with someone like that.
You can't with a narcissist, bro. You will never.
Even that night, the only thing he kept saying was, "You was wrong for what you did to me with that symbol." And I said, "Bro, how did we get here?
Right.
It don't matter. It don't matter. You was wrong. You was just wrong." I said, "How did we get here?"
Right.
That's the first starting point when you're talking about trying to solve a conflict.
Right.
Well, my question is this, man. How is the symbol?
Chris, you sure you're not a comedian?
What kind of symbol was it?
Was it Sabian? Was it Zildjian?
It was Zildjian. It was a Zildjian.
Oh, Zildjian or cut. That was a good one to throw at. Yeah, that was. That's a good one to throw on them.
Yeah, but it's crazy, man.
Brien, I was telling Chris this earlier. I was like, we put so much passion to what we do, and when you have so many working parts to make a whole kind of situation, right? Like, you're making a presentation. I don't think regular people know how many moving parts there is in a band to make like the singer or the production or the song come through. There's a lot of stuff people don't know. Like, we might be like communicating where it's like, hey, is this the bridge coming up? Just to help each other out. So we're constantly doing things to help each other make this product work, right?
Yes.
And nobody else in the audience, unless you're a musician, will know it takes this much bandwidth and brain power to make that happen. And being part of the drummer and the bass player is like a marriage.
Oh my God.
So if and all of us who are married, you know, if your wife got the thermostat set on 78, and you got it on 68. There's a problem, right? You gotta figure out that junk, right? You gotta figure that out. And so
there's always a happy medium though, dude.
There is
that's
always
the thing is
to do.
There's always a way to meet in the middle.
But like a marriage, it takes two people to make sure that makes happen.
Right. And
so make a decision to say, this is what we're going to do. You can't have one person saying, okay, I'll go to 75. Another person like, nah, 68. You're like, yo, you're not respecting my position in this at all.
Right. So it's about compromise.
Right. Bass and drums, or in like my case, like I was talking before, the harmonic area of a bass or even a guitar player and a keyboard player. Like, I don't even like a guitar player on my side of the room. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't even want to hear what they do.
Right.
But bass and drums is one of those kind of situations where it's more of a marriage than any other pieces in the band. And I don't know if y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think
no, you're correct, because a lot of times when people call me for gigs, I ask who's on bass.
Right.
And it's not so much personality all the time. It's just, I want to make sure I can lock.
Right.
We're gonna be able to gel. And I was talking with some people, a couple, because the other issue now with that is, to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, Tyrone. We had some other dates,
right,
coming up.
Oh, that's had in the past tense.
No, coming up, like in the next few weeks.
Oh yeah, you say you had some other dates, but y'all still have them?
Well, I'm not doing them. That's what I'm trying to get. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Right.
And so some of the artists or the MDs have been like, "Bro, come on, man. We really want you to go. We really want you to do the gig." And I was like, "Look,
got to be resolved, right?"
But I told him, even if it does get resolved, that trust is gone with me in terms of because he is still the same person.
Right.
And one of the artists, she was like, well, I'm not gonna have that on my stage. I said, but you can't control that when you're focusing on the crowd. And I said, I just don't want to put myself in that position again.
Right.
Because he could say he's sorry, I can say I'm sorry, and we're good. We fixed that. But that does not mean he has changed as a person, because some of that is who he is.
Right.
So so this is someone that you've known and you've worked with for, you say you go back to the St. Louis days with
Well,
this.
I didn't know him in St. Louis. I knew him. We connected once he moved here. He's been here a couple of years.
Okay.
But I'm familiar with his family. His family's
Gotcha.
well known in St. Louis.
Okay.
And his mom, incredible singer in the quartet world. And so I'm familiar with him. So when I met him, I gravitated to him, number one, because, hey, that's a homeboy.
Right.
And so we started, establishing a relationship. And I was putting him on a lot of gigs because he was doing the corporate band thing. He was like, well, man, I really want to kind of stay home more. So I was like, well, cool. I work all the time, and I'll just put you on some stuff and put him in some MD situations, and that ended up not going well. I put him in some other situations, and now they're like, this is before I answered that. They was already like, no, I'm not. I can't fool with him for some of the same reasons.
Right.
And so it's like when you try to talk to somebody like that and they don't see they're wrong, it's like, okay.
Man, that's always tough because, you want to help cats out. You want to, put them on stuff. I've had similar, situations. Recently I had to not okay someone to do a pretty big thing that could have been a really, really cool thing for them to do. But I was like, man, I can't put my name on this particular person because I have no idea who is going to show up. It could be cool. If it's cool, it's going to be incredible. But if it's not cool,
it's going to be bad.
And then that is going to affect my relationship with who I, told it was going to be cool. So those things, man, that's an important part of what we do is our name and trust. People have to trust, who we send to them. And that's like, man, I've seen many people, not I would say many, but I've seen quite a few people go down because I'm like, man, why do you keep recommending this person, or why do you keep hiring this person? Like, you want to go down with the ship, but I can't do that.
Well, my time knowing Brien, playing with Brien, we worked together a lot. Not recently, which is a shame, but we played a lot. You can always tell the type of person if they're passionate or not, if they're prepared for rehearsal, all these kind of things. Brien is always one of those guys that's prepared for rehearsal, and in the case or when we're trying to figure something out, it's been no issue where I say, Brien, how are you feeling this, or what are you doing right here, or how do we want to get into this? So that the passion that you have, brother. The question I want to ask you is it your passion that makes it difficult for a scenario like that where you can't phone it in, that you really care about the music? Otherwise, you could have just played the thing, got your little money, left, right? What is it? Do you find there's a difference between a person who's passionate and a person who's phoning it in, where those kind of confrontations could happen?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely my passion, because I have to dial myself back even at church.
Right.
Just tonight, certain things were happening, and I was just like, bro, what are you doing? That's not what the preacher's doing. She's trying to get your attention. She's, but when I'm not in a leadership role, I definitely pull back and just be like, because not everybody can, like for example, in my church, I've been in my church the longest out of the entire band. So I've been in my church 20 years.
Wow.
And so a lot of the newer cats have been there like maybe 2 years. So I'm mindful of, I don't ever want them to feel like, oh, he knows because he's been here. But at the same time, I always let them know, but I do know.
Right.
So your ideals are great, but out of the 20 years I've been here, you might not even want to go down that road.
Right.
But you can try it and let me know what happens.
Right.
And when they do, they come back and be like, bro, I should have listened to you. I was like, it's what it is. You know, I'm not trying to keep you from being creative, but to get back on your question, yeah, it is definitely the passion, because even in a cat situation, I treat that just like I would if I was with Chandra, or if we was at the Velvet Note, or we was on a bigger stage, because it's still all music. It's still all chorus, bridge, intro. You still have to play the parts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, it's funny you say that, because me and Chris, I played in a lot of church bands, big ones, smaller ones, whatever kind of where I'm a leader and stuff like that. The one that I play now at church is just me and Chris, and it's
Ooh,
so
that
much
is
easier.
sweet.
It is. We show up. We know. I trust that he knows the song. He trusts that I know the song. And then if we want to go to a direction, we go. That's it. You know,
just go. Yeah.
Oh, it's so easy, and I think that could be changed. And I'm not looking forward to it, because you put all those other moving parts in there, man. It is like, oh, man.
Yeah, man. Brien, I think your light went out in your. We can barely see you, my man. Yeah.
Oh,
there you go. There you go. That's better.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, man. No problem. The way that we are now at church is just like, because it's, you know, just like he said, he trusts I know the song, I trust he know the song, and there might be something that he forgot, or there's something I might forget, but we can lean on it. It's just the two of us, so we're like, you know. But when you start adding those, you know, you have those other people there, man. I don't know about that, but we're gonna kind of find out, man. But well, listen, dude, you know, we don't want to keep you all night, but
oh no, you're fine.
I wanted to, you know, just sort of get not necessarily your side, because I know that that's exactly what I can see everything what happened.
Yeah.
And truth be told, man, we went and checked the cat's Facebook out, bro, and it was like, oh hell, oh bro, even my wife was like, come on, you could see this coming a mile away.
It might be in the name. It might be
tell you,
all
as
in the
soon as
name.
I see a bass player with 5 strings, I'm done anyway. Give me 4 strings, P bass, upright. I'm done. I don't need 5, 6, 7. I'm done with that, man. I don't need all that, man. Anyway,
right.
But yeah, I just, you know, I could, you know, I can see, but you know, it's unfortunate, but because especially that's your home base, man. That's what makes it even worse, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Is because, man, that's your home base.
Yeah, and it
You know?
and it causes all of our homeboys,
Man.
all of us that's from St. Louis, everybody's trying to figure out now what's going on, who's right, who's wrong. And, you know, the guy that's kind of helping mediate the thing, he's from St. Louis, you know, and so he's just kind of, you know, and I told him, I said, man, I appreciate you. Like, you really, I could tell you're sincere, you know, but at the same time, I had to remind him, you know, I was like, our relationships off stage makes a difference on stage.
No, man, 100%.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I could do a gig with him again, but I'm not going to be paying no attention to him. That messes with the chemistry, and he's not going to be paying no attention to me. So it's like you said, we got to be locked.
Right.
We can't have no kind of distortion in that frequency, in that connection. It has to be right.
If the elephant hasn't been addressed, like if you just like, okay, all right, blah, blah, blah. What remains is still volume, overplaying, whatever concept, philosophy, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
You got to get that squared away. And still the people have to acquiesce to say, okay, are you willing to concede this? Are you willing to concede that? Or if you're right, you're right. And, you know, me and Chris was on a bandstand with a certain person, and man, this way this guy was acting, I told Chris, hey, bro, if he don't apologize next time I see him, I'll never call him for a gig again. And so I just want to give you this hope right here, because the cat did. Next time I saw him, it wasn't on my gig.
Right.
Cat met me in the parking lot before I even set up and said, "Hey man, I'm so sorry." He's like, "Man, I was." He's like, "I'm getting off of cigarettes and nicotine." Nicotine was messing with the brother. He's like, "I'm sorry." I was like, "Say less." I said, "Thank you
And you
for
have to
that.
respect that.
I got to." You
Yep.
know,
Man,
Yep.
nobody's perfect. I mean, we
No.
Right.
all have had moments of, delusions of grandeur, as Rick James called them. You get your
Mhm.
delusions of grandeur in there, and you think
Mhm.
you're bigger than you are, and something, But if you immediately you can dial that back if you have some sense of like reality. Some guys,
Yes.
man, especially cats that I bring this up a lot. We've talked a little bit about this, but this is going to be an episode is dealing with people who create their own world, right? So it's like
Mm.
they're a big fish in a small pond, and people love living in that the big fish in a small pond because they can control everybody around them, because all the people that are around them want a piece of what they're doing. So they
Yes.
covet them, right? So, and those are people that don't have anything for themselves or that live through other people, for to make themselves feel better. So there's a lot of that, man. And I don't know this, but I can tell it. I mean, there was a little bit of people that just create sort of where they're the guy, you know and there's not a lot of, let's just say, competition around them, right?
Mhm.
So they're on this pedestal, they have these worshipers or whatever you want to call them, man. And then when they come into a situation where there's other cats who are better or just as good or have just as much to say or know more, man, they don't deal with that well,
No.
because they're always used to being right, no matter even if they're wrong. Nobody's gonna tell them.
Mhm. Mhm.
but
So
it's a
guys like
trait though
that,
with
bro, are
great people. Though.
tricky. That's a tricky. Woo, those are tricky guys.
And see, I came up with guys, where you thinking you jamming, and they be like, "Man, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Go back and do that again." Like it's just
Exactly.
your feelings be crushed, man, but
Yeah,
it made you better.
yeah,
Right.
you're right.
That's right. Yep. That's right.
Hey, Brian, you got a question from somebody who was in St. Louis as well. He said, "Where is Brian from in St. Louis?"
I grew up in Berkeley. I went to Berkeley High School, class of '87.
Okay. I know John Harris and his wife, of a wonderful vocalist that we work with and we'll be working with in Noonan on Thursday. Is that
Carla's
Okay.
from St. Louis. Carla's
yeah,
from St.
Carla? Well, John is from St. Louis too, I think.
Oh, John's from St. Louis too.
Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
So they know about the
Uh,
Chinese food and the White Castles and the emos.
Really? Okay.
White
White Castle's got holes in the burger.
Castle, man. They call them crystals down in this neck of the
Crystal,
No,
woods.
yeah,
they're
that's
not the
Crystal,
same.
Brian said
man.
no.
Do
Not the
not be
same.
fooled.
Not the same,
Not the
man.
John
same.
says I'm his neighbor. I grew up in Cool Valley.
Oh, okay.
Okay, John.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Well, what else you got going? Oh, there we go. We got another St. Louis, John Charlton, our great friend John
Oh,
Charlton.
yeah.
What's
I
his-
Emos.
didn't know
I'm hip
John
to
was
that.
from
That's the
St.
pizza.
Louis.
Yes. Yes.
Charlton is from St. Louis?
Yes.
I
thought
didn't
he was
know
from
that.
Chicago.
Mm-mm. St.
Okay.
Louis.
What is Emos? I don't know. Y'all got to hit
It's
me.
a
To
pizza place,
Pizza.
man.
Pizza.
Ugh,
pizza. Okay.
Pizza.
thin crust.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh my God.
It's happening. Huh?
And then they
you
have
got,
fried raviolis.
Fried raviolis. Okay.
yes, sir. And then you got of course, our brother Russell Gunn and Terry on both they're from East St.
Yes.
Louis.
Yeah.
So, which I guess is different, but
That's the bad
Also,
side.
gooey butter cake.
that's the bad side.
And actually, it's Illinois too. It's Illinois.
It's Illinois. East St.
Yeah,
Louis
it's
is Illinois.
East St.
It
Yeah,
is,
it's
right.
Illinois. It's just across
Right.
the bridge, Illinois.
Right.
Really?
Missouri.
Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Shoot, they
yeah,
equally
man.
bad.
Well,
Nah, I can't even say that. So
well, man, what else you got coming up, man? You got anything to plug? Any shows coming up?
this week I'll be at St. James Friday with Tasha Renee. We're doing a
Wow.
Monica and Brandy tribute show.
Okay.
So I'll be
Is there
there
going to be another
Friday.
vocalist or just she's doing both sides?
She's doing both sides.
Wow.
Okay.
She's doing both sides. So
She seems to have that kind of sewn up, man.
she's
she does
there
a
once a
lot
month.
of
She's there
yeah,
once a
Okay.
month.
Like a residency almost with her. Huh?
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tasha, yeah, she's a great vocalist, man.
She is.
Brian, you
So
have
you
any records out?
I'm still promoting my latest single, Atmosphere.
Atmosphere, okay.
Yeah, it's still being played on the radio and
Beautiful.
Sirius XM and all that good stuff. So hopefully I'll be done with the project by the spring of next year. But you know how that is. You're always working.
Always.
Right.
Do you do any how's your production? Like you play keys and stuff like that? And
Just a little. I can hash out some melodies and ideas.
right.
That kind of thing. But
and you're a Pro Tools Logic person? What do you like
Pro
to use?
Tools.
Okay,
Pro
cool.
Tools.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Well, cool, man. Well, if you are not doing anything Sunday evening, I have a show over at the Balzer, which is curated by Tyrone Jackson, and he is also on the gig. But
what time?
the Balzer is right next to it's right on the same building as the Rialto downtown.
Oh yeah.
On
7
Lucky
p.m.
Street.
Okay.
7 p.m. If you are free, man, we'd love to have you as our guest.
Yeah.
Come down, check the show out, man.
Come hang with us. Yeah. We'll
yeah,
I leave Saturday to go to Tampa.
Okay.
I get back Sunday afternoon. I think my flight lands like at 6:37.
Okay.
I'll find out for sure.
We're just extending the invitation. Just
absolutely,
text me.
Absolutely.
Just text me
like
if you want to come through, man.
Okay.
And like I said, be our guest, man, and hang out. But there'll be other opportunities too, dude. So
yeah, man. Yeah.
So
well, just keep me informed, man. I appreciate it. I'm very fond of both of you all, man. So
oh man, likewise, man.
Man, when you get a chance, come down on Napoleon's to the jam session and sit in with us.
I've been trying to get him. I've been trying. I'm gonna go pick him up,
right?
Go pick him up, man. Hey, go pick him up.
I'm gonna pick him up. What it is, Mondays I try to give that time to my wife.
Bring her out.
She don't want to do no music when we supposed to have date night. You remember that 78 degrees and that?
Yes. Yeah, I got you.
No, bro. Ain't no compromise.
Right. Ain't no compromise.
So,
I got you.
But the way
I want people to hear you play jazz because like, you did a gig with me. And remember when we had Craig Shaw? It was like Rhonda Thomas or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, him and Craig Shaw was like, I don't know about this straight.
Hey, you know those cats that hide, bro? They hide like they don't know, like they can't do that stuff, you know.
Well,
but
I mean, you know, when it comes to cats like you though, and Terrion and
whatever, man.
Man, you got to hear this cat play, man.
Whatever.
He's lying.
I mean, I'll take a stab at it. I'm not gonna say I'm not just horrible at it, but y'all understand the language, know, and you really understand the language. So I have moments where I have to kind of fake it.
I feel you, bro. You can't be a master of everything, bro. You know,
right.
But you know, we're seasoned enough to if you could listen to it on a record or listen, you know, you could play it. But you know, the language is a different thing, just like you said.
I had to learn it was like what you don't do.
Right.
You know, it's and
really
turn off that R&B gospel head and just really be delicate with what you're doing.
Right.
So,
well, listen, man, we're gonna we'll hang soon. We'll get together, man, and
I'm gonna hold you to it, Chris.
Oh man, you got me now because you said you gonna talk over some food, so I got you on that one. Man.
You got me, okay.
I got you.
He's an aficionado with the food scene, bro.
Yeah, man. Not totally, but I know some spots, man. So we'll do something, man. Next week or two, man.
That'll work.
I'll hit you up, man, and we'll definitely get together.
Man, this was great. Hopefully I was able to.
Oh yeah, man.
Add to it, but thank y'all.
Absolutely, brother. Well, thank you so much for coming on, man, and we'll see you soon, man. All right, peace, Brian.
Yeah, Brian. Okay. Take it easy.
Later. You too,
man.
Yeah,
man, that was great, man.
Yeah.
I could see that coming, man.
I could see it too, bro.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't know. I didn't know, but I knew it had to be that.
What's the cat's name, bro? Wild Man, bro.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know the cat.
I don't know him either, but
It's
we know
crazy
him.
that, but if we
Hey,
don't know him, that's something too, isn't it?
well, we don't know him, but we know him.
Right, right. But I mean that we haven't crossed paths musically to know.
Well, yeah, but it's. I mean, just as he said, he's only been here for a couple of years,
Right,
and
right,
Brien was trying to hook him up, and that's
right,
the worst, man. When you throw people, golly, man, that's your name. That's all you have is your
right,
reputation, man,
right,
and
right.
you know, and nobody's perfect, man. Everybody makes mistakes, and you try to give people chances. Thank God I got. I mean, you can always go back and you can relate. You can go, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who? Okay, somebody gave you another chance. That's with everybody,
Right,
man.
right,
Somebody gave you
right.
another chance, but when you got the other chance, what happened? That's the
Yeah.
most important thing, man. But relationships are relationships, dude. Whether
Yeah,
you're
you got to own your stuff. You got to own it. There's times where you are right, and there's times where you're wrong. It's gonna be it. But you have to own it. There's times when you late, and you come in there and you don't show that you have any remorse. You got to own that.
gotta
I've
own
been
it, man.
trying to work on my tardiness. I've been
Yep.
I've been the first one. Today I was the first one at Drew Middle School. We had this thing. I was amazed myself.
Right.
First one to rehearsal today. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I
Right.
mean, I'm trying to work on those things, but you got to own those situations. You got to
Right.
own it.
You gotta own it, and it's really
Yeah.
just a mindset, right? It's just like, it's a mindset of that's why, when you look at guys like, when you talk about the big picture and you look at someone like a Nathan East or
Oh
that
yeah.
gets called for every
Everything.
freaking thing.
Yes.
And you can basically, I met him one time and it was immediate. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Because it
Yeah.
was like, man, the cat was so kind. It was like, it was unbearable. It was just
Right.
like that
Right.
he had that sort of, and it's like, oh man, beside the cat, a monster player, all that. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of monster players, right? It's who feels comfortable with who and who, you know, especially when you're on that level, man. There's others way more separating factors than how you play. I mean, I remember Herbie Hancock talking about because he started going through drummers and
Right.
not necessarily going through them because he was just trying different people out.
Right. Right.
And I remember Terrence Blanchard recommended Trevor Lawrence. I think it was Trevor that started working with him. But Herbie wasn't like, man, can he solo over 7? What kind of chops
Right.
he got?
Right. Right.
They said that wasn't even in the. It was like, man, what is he cool? What kind of what's the cat like? It was more strictly because if you're gonna get recommended by someone, how they play shouldn't even be a question because if somebody's asking for a keyboard player, the first thing that they not going to ask is, okay, if I recommend Tyrone Jackson, it shouldn't be about I'm recommending him because of the kind of person that he is. People will ask, and I've had people ask me that. Like if I recommend somebody, they're like, well, can he play? I'm like, why would I recommend this person if he couldn't freaking play?
Right.
I'm trying to bring you somebody that is going to be good for what you do. But then you just you won't get my recommend. I don't have anything for you. Go talk to whatever.
And
But it's
we
got to be
always
about
have
the person
stipulations.
first, man.
Yeah, and you have stipulations of things too. Well, what kind of gig is this that I'm recommending this person? Because if you're looking for a monster player, that's fine. But then if this is a gig where you need to be there on time, this cat might not be the cat for you, whatever.
But that's what I'm saying, dude, is
Right.
I don't even if there's those kinds of shortcomings, that's
Right.
not even you're not coming up. I mean, I'm
Right.
sorry to say that, but
But you know, there's certain cats. I'm not going to name this cat. He used to be here. This guy was like, didn't have a keyboard. He was a piano player. It's like, I only play on pianos. I was
Okay.
like, bro, it's like,
Okay.
can't call you, bro. You know
Cool.
what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, right. And it's okay. Cool.
Right.
All right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Art Blakey, McCoy Tyner and Art Blakey was like oil and water on the gig. And not because of the plan
I can kind of even Styles I can
and the
kind of see
style.
that.
Art Blakey was kid about his weight all the time. And McCoy
Mm.
wasn't one of those type of people who ribbed and stuff like that. And he's like, man, you need to turn down your plate. That's what Art Blakey told McCoy Tyner. And I can't remember. I think it was in Miles' autobiography or one of the biography.
Turn down your plate.
Yeah. He's like, but you need to turn down your plate, bro. You getting too big, whatever. McCoy was mad, bro. And to your point, you know, certain musicians like Miles didn't think that McCoy was going to be right for John Coltrane's band.
Right.
He's like, man, you shouldn't hire McCoy.
Right. He did tell him that
Right.
too. Why you
And
hiring
McCoy
that
was
guy?
the perfect person for Coltrane's band. Like, you
Right.
know, so
Right.
we all have our picks of people. You don't want to force the issue, and that's when definitely conflict can arise as well. But you know, hey,
Yeah, I remember someone was trying to block me from something one time.
right.
And I found out about it, right? And it was like, yeah, man, this dude was telling me, it's like, man, you can't hire that guy. He's gonna be playing all the kinds of Afro-Cuban stuff on your Afro-Cuban rhythms on your music and stuff, man. He's like, and this guy's like, I don't think so. So
Right.
sometimes you have to look past, but
Right.
it's just cats will do that to you,
Bro,
man.
what's the best was though with vibraphone is Jay Hogarth, bro. He was like, we had played with him, me and Kevin Smith had played with him before, bro.
Yeah.
And you were on a gig, and I was like,
Yeah.
I can't wait, bro, because this dude.
Oh,
is
you
real
thought he was gonna
heavy."
get me. You thought he was
I
gonna be all
thought he was
over
gonna
me.
get you. We were like, bro, I can't wait. And even Dr. Andrews was like, brother Chris, you got to learn the beats, whatever, like that. And he's like, man, I know what this junk is, like that.
Yeah,
Me and Chris,
I was like, okay, well,
me and Chris
let's
was like, we
see.
can't wait. Boy, you playing something in the real style it was supposed to be. And we was like, oh, what's going on? Like that. And Dwight was like, I think, brother Chris, you need to change to do whatever. And Jay was like, hold on, I like what that brother's playing right there. I like that better. He's like, no, man,
Yo,
no.
man, you guys were so mad, man, about that
Because
because I
he's
was
going through some
confident, man. I
drummers,
was like,
bro.
I
He's
said,
going through
okay,
some good drummers, man.
we'll see. He's like, no. I like what you playing, man. I like what you playing. Keep doing that. Keep doing that.
No.
Especially Smith was like, oh.
Right. He loved everything you did that night. I was like,
I
oh,
did. I
man.
just had to smile, man. I was like,
Right.
see, yeah, man. It's just I don't know. That recommendation thing, man, is tricky. It is tricky,
bro.
and
It's like matchmaking, bro.
it is, and sometimes it doesn't work out. I mean, they're just
Right.
For whatever reason, personalities or
Sometimes cats change over time too. You don't even perceive it. You're like, hey man, I'm so sorry. I recommended this cat. They usually, when you say they usually are this, man.
Isn't there something recent that happened to you?
Yeah.
Was there a recent you recommended somebody for something, or I thought it was you. It seemed like you somebody. I thought it
I've
was
had a
you.
couple. I have a couple fairly recently.
But you did
from New Orleans. I recommend from New Orleans.
Oh.
And this
Well, that's the epic story, man. That we have got. Man, we have to animate that story, bro, and try to and tell. Man, that is one of the most epic, funny.
I remember the clothes too, and I remember
Tales from the tour bus type of stuff. Man, that junk.
I remember the band leader. As soon as he finished playing his last note, packed up his junk and walked out of the convention. They didn't even wait for a taxi, bro. They just
Here's what we got to do. First, if he signs off on us telling this whole story, because it is of legend, man. It is of legend. And it just so happens that somebody else that ran into that same problem with the same guys, right?
Really?
Well, you told me
Oh
that.
yeah. Yes.
So it was like a double. Well, I
Right.
guess it was. It was. Yeah, but
Right.
right,
Right.
similar crew.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, man. I don't know, man. I worked hard to like because I saw my short. I mean, it was like there was a period in my career where I was like, man, I'm really playing with fire right now in terms
Right.
of where my attitude is, you
Right.
know.
Right.
But I had to like I had other things going on in my life
Right.
that which is another thing is you never know what somebody's going through, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
because certain things can really affect how they act in a certain profession. So you know, you want to have some kind of compassion sometimes, you
Yeah.
know, for because and sometimes they don't have anybody to talk to about what's going on either, man. So,
Yeah.
you know, if there's guys we always try to check on, especially guys you don't see them for a while, or you've noticed a flip in their in their attitude like on the gig or something. You should probably check in with them, man, and say, hey, man, everything
Right.
cool, you know,
Right. Right.
what's
Right.
going on? Because that 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 can have a serious effect on you know on your thinking and just your overall attitude. So yeah, man. But good
Yeah.
show, man. We had a nice little crowd in here.
Yeah, man.
Uh
Man, I'm so looking forward to the gig on Sunday. I mean, everybody who's listening to this, you guys need to come out. I'm not saying that because I'm a part of it. It's just the music is uplifting. It's just on the drive home. I didn't even think about traffic. I was just the music was still living in my head. So I think you guys are really be in for, I would say, a spiritual journey on this junk. I think this is what's needed. So if y'all gotta come out Sunday and tell people about it. I think you're really going to be levitated on this. And this time where there's so many wars, stuff going on, man,
mhm.
you're gonna need this. So I'm not just saying that because it's my boy on the gig, but he's really curated a show that I think is gonna be healing. So
Man, you know, I mean, I guess it's just, you know, the older you get, the more um important the spirit becomes,
right,
right?
right, right.
And I've often found, you know, just through music and through um even just man, it's just certain type of concepts where you may come up with uh whether it's a certain rhythm or a certain, you know, choice in um harmony or whatever it is, but that's becoming a lot more important to me as
Yeah,
I you know get into this next stage of my life, man. And it's just like you said, dude, with the crazy stuff that continues to happen, the stuff that we've got going on right now with Israel, the what's going on social media. Man, I have just like social media is just I don't even know what it is at this point. It's like I'm trying to find the good in some of, but it's like when all the good stuff is suppressed and all the garbage is brought up to a level to where you can't help but see it. It's kind
yeah.
of like, man, why am I here? What are we really doing?
And
You
there's
know?
algorithms involved, programs. It's just so much that even if you have positive stuff, what is
It's
being
man,
pushed at you from a monetized point of view is all this other things, right? So you don't even know what's really is anymore.
here's my recommendation to people, and this is going to probably hurt some other people, but what I did on my Facebook is that I had to unfollow people that I really didn't know. I'm just being honest and transparent because what was happening was I wasn't seeing anybody that I knew.
Right.
So it was like all the people that, you know, my musician friends or family friends or the people that I wasn't seeing any of their stuff because it's like you have so many other people that pop up in your feed. And it's like, dude, I get it. Like you're promoting your whatever in Vancouver, British Columbia, but I'm not gonna be there. you know.
Right.
And I get it. It's like you're trying to find people are trying to find. It's like we're promoting something in Atlanta. I get that whole. I get it, but you have to try to take as much control over that as you can, and that's one of the only ways that you can kind of do it, man.
But I say that all to say this, like this kind of stuff is what I envisioned when I was asked to curate this series, is for the musicians to have a voice, right? To do
Right,
what they want to do in
right,
this environment where it's a concert and it's all about, let's see what your take is, what your artistry is.
right.
And I'm hoping that this continues and grows. So you guys, this is the essence of what I've been trying to put out, is what's going to happen on Sunday. So if you disagree with me, I'll give you your money back. But I promise you, if you come to this show, it's going to be cathartic. So yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, thanks for, because I was, where I was on even doing my own gigs anymore. I was like, I'm done with this. But somebody, just throws it, usually it comes from somebody close going, no, you're not done. You got a lot more to say. You like, really? Okay. So
it was supposed to happen to on your birthday, close to your birthday. Now it's happening on my birthday. So is that the right time?
It's happening on your birthday. So we're going to have a double celebration. So your birthday is Sunday, correct?
It's right on the date, 19th.
So this is a double celebration. So I know some of you guys
don't make me happy just getting through these dang too.
Oh heck.
That's my birthday present to myself if I hit this junk,
Yeah, you got but that's a good feeling, right? Like, man, I gotta prepare for this,
Right. Although I think I did pretty good rehearsal. I just gotta
rehearsal was fantastic, man. I shoot, so thank you guys so much for hanging with us on our Chop It Up Tuesdays, and all the episodes are live to Facebook, live to YouTube, and they are documented on YouTube in the live category because they go live now on Facebook. So they're already there immediately when we're done. So go into the live category and all of our, I think this is episode 17.
17. Wow.
Which is, you see some people, episode 294. I'm like, golly, 294.
Right. We're going to have some archives and stuff.
So, but we're just getting started, and
thanks for hanging up with us.
Absolutely. Had a great conversation and real conversation, and thanks for Brien Andrews for coming on with us, and he didn't have to do that. So to tell and be transparent about what happened with his altercation with what's Wild Man, what's his name, what's the cat's name? And so again, just one last pitch. This Sunday we're at the Balzer, 7 p.m. Doors open around 6:15. We got Tyrone Jackson on keys, Ariane Tillman on vocals, Kelly McCarty on bass, and Ali Barr on African percussion and flugelhorn. So it's going to be a great night. Come out, hang out with us, and if you don't see us there, you will see us here next Tuesday at 8 p.m. So anything else, my man? I think that's
I think you covered it all, brother.
All right, cool. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you all next week.
Peace.